This week in comic books, man, what a great week. I have nothing to dump on this week. We get a little something from DC that gives us the true meaning of the holiday season, plus a bunch of great Batman stories. Over in Marvel, we get a justification. Why does Joe Garrison guy needs to be Punisher? Like, why did that happen? We'll discuss it. And in Independence, man, we get this really weird book called Beyond Real. And it's dealing with simulations. But first, I have to try to sell you some coffee real quick. Check it out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. All right, you wonderful weirdos. Let's jump into this. I just found out I got some holiday stuff that I need to do. So we're going to get this done, and we're going to kick it off with DC's "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." So this is a great just Christmas story. Right? I get it if you want more action adventure. This is probably not going to be your deal. But what this does do is gives you several stories. And on the surface level, they're kind of superficial, right? But they all kind of focus around this general theme of loneliness during the holidays. And then, of course, the miracle that happens from somebody else. I get it, right? It's the holiday season. We kind of focus on these miracles from on high, right? Like Santa traveling the world, or the birth of a character, or the lamp being lit for more than a day, or whatever the case may be, the feast and all this other stuff. But this book deals with the more you being the miracle, or the character being a miracle. In other words, somebody's lonely at Christmas time and somebody's just there. And that is important in this time of year. I know I kind of fall short on this. Like, I have a hard time reaching out to people just to see how they're doing. I try my best to do it. But again, this book kind of focuses around that, using superficial storytelling like The Christmas Carol or The Prince and the Pauper or something along those lines. But the miracle really happens with just somebody reaching out in some way, shape, or form, even if it comes off really bad, like with Batmite on the last story. It is still a fantastic, fantastic book, and it's a great reminder that it is that time of season where, yes, woo doesn't really exist, but that doesn't mean you can't be somebody's miracle. And I thought that was a great point in this book. And yeah, so that's my review of that, because I'm getting teary-eyed. So let's jump on to the next thing. All right, keeping with the Christmas theme going on, we got Silent Night. Oh man, this is just great. I kind of like an alternative version of stories, and this one dealing with Santa and Krampus, and how there was a partnership there, good cop, bad cop type of situation. And then because of the most simplest misunderstanding and not understanding somebody's nature, kind of going overboard and kicking Krampus into this netherworld, and that can cause some resentment. So yeah, that's where all this is kicking off at. So they kind of solidified from story one, he's bad. Here's why he's bad. How do we get him back to good? Hopefully that kind of fleshes out in the next few stories. And I am very enjoying. I kind of like this idea of Santa being a badass. I don't know why, but still caring enough to give something to kids, like sword fighting monsters. Here's a dollhouse to the kid, right? I don't know why I like this concept. It's really good. It really shows that people are more complicated than in a two-dimensional form, right? All right, moving on. Okay, so this has just been great. I'm going to go ahead right now. It's Christmas time. We need something else. So here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Pick of the week. All right, we got Batman, Gotham, or Gargoyle of Gotham. I'm not editing this. We're just going to roll through this. All right. This is great. You get two first appearances in here of Virgin and Mothra. This is a creepy, dark story, kind of dealing with that first year or two of Batman as he's kind of cutting his teeth working in Gotham and just kind of introducing new characters, new themes, and new thought patterns too. And I've really been enjoying that. This issue in particular adds a more creepy element to it with a cult that is being run by a priest who has a fascination with Mother. There you go. And then the possibility of a partnership between the Virgin. It's great. There's still the Christmas theme there, right? Like it's still there. It doesn't come off that way though. No miracles in this book. It's graphic, it's bad, and Crytoon is sadistic. So we get a lot of new characters, a lot of new avenues to go with this, and I'm enjoying that. Moving on, we get Batman and Robin. So this unfortunately is going to turn into probably a drop for me here relatively soon. I was kind of hoping to dive more into the relationship of Batman and his son Robin, Damian, in this, and how are they going to live together. But it looks like it's going to take a different turn as we find out that Shush is no relation to Hush. And apparently he's actually from, or she is actually from Damian's past as a teacher that was particularly hard that he didn't deal with, and the mother didn't like her either, kicked her out of the League of Assassins as an instructor, and now she's the principal of the school that Damian has to go to. I could see the lure for readers out there to read this, especially if you like school themed books, young reader type stuff. The interactions within a school with having a threat there, I get that. Like I can't argue you saying it's a good book. It would be a good story. However, I just don't think it fits in my collection and what I normally read. Will we give it one more shot? Again, it's going to be a number, right? Generally, 10 to 15 comic books for me. If it's a short week and just happens to be there, I'll probably pick it up just so I have something to talk to you about. But for the most part, I'm not like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I failed you. I'm sorry. All right, moving on. Sandman. Loads of DC this week. I am absolutely on board with this. So, however you define first appearances, cameo appearances, however you define that, doesn't really matter. We kind of get the full interaction and first full view of Fog in here. He's the opposite of Sandman. Sandman likes to spread out the make you go night-night gas, and Fog likes to throw out the make you go night-night forever gas. Right? Very problematic character, right? And they get their little first battle in here, and unfortunately it looks like Sandman got a whiff of the bad forever night-night gas. Will he survive? Wow, the best cliffhanger ever. The guy's literally choking to death, and they're like, tune in next week. Okay. Because now I have to, right? I really want to see that happen, and I want to know who the character is. He took off his mask at some point, but I kind of focused around on the picture. Couldn't really figure out who the character is. I don't know if my first initial guess was right, but we'll find out soon enough. I would almost guess the next issue. Next, short-handed on Marvel this week, but Marvel Zombies. I've been reading this. This is issue 3, and I'll be dropping it, unfortunately. This one, 3 stories again. Demon Days type of artwork in there. If you're familiar with the series Demon Days by Peach Momoka, she does a story in here, and that just does not resonate with me in any way. The other 2 stories came off very just ho-hum to me. Like they just, I don't know, there was no draw and excitement to me. They just seemed bland. So, nothing on the authors or anything. You put your best work out there, people kick it back at you. It is what it is, right? And no, it just wasn't for me. Hopefully it was for you. Definitely let me know in the comments down below. If you read this and you enjoyed it, what did you like about it is my ultimate question. Because again, to me it seemed, I don't know, just All right, next. As we said in the beginning, Punisher. This is issue 2. So, right, Frank Castle is not the Punisher in the Punisher comic book. Right? It's this Joe Garrison guy. And he seems a little bit more like he has more techie type weapons, like rail guns and weird lasers and stuff. But is it Punisher? So we have to ask ourselves, right? Does the character define themselves, or does the story define the character? Because if you read this and you just randomly called him Frank Castle and he's walking around with his little 1980s Uzis, right? it reads like that character doing that. It really does. What you call the character, I don't know if that really qualifies. And I bring this up because I remember an interview with Ram V, and he kind of hinted towards, well, he didn't hint, he flat out said, he was like, the character is just a tool within the story, right? You can make the character whatever you want to fit into the story. It's the story, how it works linearly, that really kind of addresses the emotions that you want to bring out of the reader. And I thought that was a really good statement. This was a really good example of that. So, yeah, in this one, he's got to go through the bad guys each level at a time. You know, the video game theory, you know, one boss, two boss, three boss, right? Before he gets to a character. I'm not familiar with the character known as the Offerer. Apparently, he's a mob style kingpin type character. Again, you could have called him whatever you wanted, right? You kind of get the view of it. Apparently, he's really good at negotiations. Like, that's a whatever. But our character, Joe, shoots through everybody to get to him because he wants to find out who killed his family and why did they kill his family. What did I do as Joe for you to kill my family? We find out, well, Joe didn't do anything. His wife did. She apparently was a secretary that ratted out some guys doing some bad things. So Joe, our Punisher, was never the target to begin with. It was the wife. That adds a whole new level to the story. That one little detail, I believe, adds a whole new level to the story. If somebody was to attack me and my wife got hurt, that's fine. That's really my fault, right? Like, my wife was in the way. I failed that, right? So remorse, revenge, right? But in this case, somebody went after your wife or somebody you cared about, right? Oh, that's a whole nother thing of rage right there. Like, that's a whole nother level of just pure, unadulterated anger. How dare you go after somebody for doing the right thing? Somebody I love. Oh, I got you. Look, I got you, right? So I like that little slight twist. Not that I like having family members killed or anything, but I think it adds a different layer to this story that maybe was even lacking in the Punisher stories. I just wish he wasn't all like, this is my laser railgun thing. It's weird. I don't know. All right, moving on. So this book actually came out last week, and it's called Skeeters, right? You may have heard it, may even saw it. But Luna Press did their own cover for it and re-released it this week from Man Cave Comics. So I picked up this one, obviously, because it was there, and I missed it last week. And I read it, and it comes off like a beautiful B-flick drive-in movie horror, right? There's the monster critters, right? Gremlins, Goblins was one too, where like there's this science lab and they're doing genetic mutations on, in this case, mosquitoes, right? And somehow or another they get loose, and there's a small country, rural town that gets infested with this kind of stuff. And of course, a bored police officer or sheriff, whatever. And then madness ensues, right? And of course, you got your two comedic reliefs who are pest control people in this one. I see what you did there, Man Cave. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoy it for what it is. Simplistic storytelling with adding a gore and a hint of horror to it, right? 'Cause, like, who's scared of a mosquito? People in Florida. Have you seen mosquitoes in Florida? I could see maybe they would have a different reaction to this. And that would be fair. Next, Evasive. So this is a nightmare, a surgeon-induced, fuel-induced nightmare. So what if there was just a group of people out there that just wanted to do random surgeries on people because that's what they want to do, and there's no like official medical, like they're not professionals in the field, they're just out there doing it. There you go, right? That's what you did. Like, that's the review. That they can get you anytime they want, do whatever they want to, and they're very overzealous with their work, and they've had victims, more especially a cop in this one and a mother in this one, who are trying to figure out who these people are. It's intense. You could see this being, what was American Horror? Remember that show? I think it's still on. It just feels like it would be an episode in that. Just the weird horror associated with it, and the unusual characters that you have in it. It's the most original thing I've written so far. Or written. It's the most original thing I've read. I I would say in a while. Like this is something I would have never have thought of. And good job, kudos, because I was surprised. I want to read more. Will I though? This is where the comic book shop, right? This is where us as the consumers of the comic book, right? We have to unfortunately spend that money to get somebody to show us, so we can show a company that we have interest in something for it to come down. In my comic book shop, more people have to read this for him to do another order. One guy doesn't make that much of a difference. And I wouldn't want my comic book shop to order one comic book at price to give to me, right? That's, oh, right? So, man, I hope so. If not, we're going online. Where we will order it online. All right, next. I got this as a free comic book giveaway at my comic book shop. It's called Beyond Real. If I was to pick it up and just kind of thumb through it like this, boop, 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 I'm like, oh, this is not, like, this doesn't look like something Pocan Joe would read. Ooh. But with this book, this is why story matters just as much as art. This book actually deals with this whole theory, if we can call it that. Well, I still want to say it's a hypothesis, but whatever. I don't want to get into semantics on it. That we're living in a simulation. You've probably heard this. People say Elon Musk talks about it. This guy talks about it. Like we have proof that we live in a simulation, right? Whatever. Let's pretend it is true for a second. Do we really want to see what's beyond the veil? This comic book kind of shows you what very well might be beyond the veil. Terrifying. Terrifying. Young lady and her boyfriend get into a car accident. Boy goes into a coma. And because of the car accident, she can what I'm assuming at this point, she can kind of perceive past the simulation and what's in there. And Bubba, it is scary. More horror. A lot of horror this week. Miracles and horror. 'Tis the season. All right, guys, that's my comic book haul and review for this week. I hope all of you are having a wonderful holiday season. And if you're just feeling down and alone, reach out to somebody. And if you're not feeling down and alone, reach out to somebody, right? That it's togetherness season. So let's all work on that, even me included, in that holiday season. And that's all I got, guys. I'll see you all next week.